This is exciting. Today's featured guests are a panel of businesses here in Mesa that focus on defense. They're all chamber members and part of the special group called the Mesa Industry and Defense Council. Please welcome to the stage Lisa Brown, Mark Gaspers, and George Graves. Come on up, guys. Good to have you here. Hi, Lisa. Welcome.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thank you, sir, for being here. And our other gentleman is being mic'd up right now. They're taking a microphone off a criminal and putting it on our next guest. So, well, tell us, as we wait for our third guest, tell us a little bit about what you guys are up to. And this kind of is a great segue from the previous guests that talk about the defense in Arizona. Lisa, you want to lead us off?
Sure. My name's Lisa Brown, so I'm the site lead for Orbital ATK, located here in Mesa. So we build weapon systems for the Boeing Apache helicopter, as well as the Bradley fighting vehicle, the U.S. Marine Corps light armor vehicle, 500 Navy ships in the U.S. Navy, and also friendly countries. So we're very happy to be here and to be part of the industry council with Mark and the rest of the teammates.
Well, that's great. And here he comes. And would you like to take that and run with it also?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us here and the chance to talk about the council. You know, with Boeing, our Mesa site has been in Mesa for 35 years, which is an incredible history that we have with the site there. We're a proud home of the Apache helicopter. We're currently in E-model production, continue to make sure that we have the best attack helicopter for our allied forces and for the U.S. Army. We also build the AH-6I international, the light attack helicopter for the international market. But you know, while we've been known for the Apache, and it continues to be the strength of our site, we've really become an encapsulation of what's great about the Boeing company across the spectrum of our enterprise. We build fabrication for composite pieces and electrical and metal pieces for parts, for platforms across defense and also Boeing commercial aircraft. So next time you're on a commercial aircraft that's a Boeing, part of that may have been built right here in Mesa. Touching on other parts of the innovative approach that we're taking for the future, Boeing is going to build one of the space capsules, the CST-100, that's going to return our astronauts to low Earth orbit. The control panel for that was built right here in Mesa. We have unmanned testing that occurs. We test our aircraft, the Apache and AH-6, of course, but also our Chinook, which is built in Philadelphia. It comes out here to test. So there's a lot of wonderful things that are going on at the site, and we're happy to be here.
That's awesome. And I'll tell you what, if you should come to Aviation Fascination and look at the Apache helicopter. It's a bad machine.
It is.
I hate to throw around technical jargon like that, but
that's a technical term.
It's really an amazing thing, and I can't even imagine being a bad guy and being out in the middle of nowhere and having one of those come over the horizon and hover. How do they not just go, okay, you got me, I'm done?
It's an incredibly intimidating machine.
Yes, it is. And George, welcome. Tell us a little bit about who you are and who you're with.
Mark, I'm George Graves. I work with Gecko in Mesa, and we are an avionics supplier to the U.S. government as well as the Boeing company, including platforms as diverse as Apache. We do a lot of work in the unmanned vehicle space, autonomous control, and we're working with an autonomous aircraft controller for the Army right now.
That's all. Now, when you say Gecko, it's not the little lizard guy with the 15 minutes.
No, it's GECO.
GECO, okay.
No.
And what does that stand for?
There's no acronym that was formally associated with it. I would like to refer to it.
I will come up with one in the next 10 minutes.
I'm sure you will. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. I'm a giver. Well, this is cool. Now, so this is, I don't think that the average person realizes that so much defense, not only of our country, but around the world, is generated right here in the Valley. It's got to be a huge economic impact. Does anybody like to speak about that?
Well, sure. You look at what's in the Mesa Industry and Defense Council, it's unique because it has the full range of what makes the defense base in the United States. So a prime contractor like the Boeing company, but then the range of other companies such as Gecko, another prime, Orbital ATK, and you get a real feel for the impact that we have. In our supply base in Arizona, if you just look at Boeing alone, for example, we spend $1.3 billion with Arizona suppliers every year. So put that in context, we'd say that the Super Bowl, last Super Bowl that was in Arizona, was $700 million. So you're talking about 2 Super Bowls a year, every year, just in Boeing supply-based spend.
Wow.
So combine that beyond just Boeing into the rest of the Industry and Defense Council, you have a very strong economic impact for Mesa and Arizona.
Well, since you brought up football, with all the defense that we have here, can you do something about maybe loaning some to the Cardinals? I say that because they're not here. Well, that's amazing. So 2 Super Bowls a year just in the economic impact. And Lisa, George, any comparable kind of numbers to throw at us?
Same thing. We spend most of our money with suppliers that are local to the area in Mesa, throughout the Valley of the Sun. Our spend isn't quite as large as the Boeing company, but I would say we probably spend about $300 million a year.
Wow.
In the local area.
That's a bunch.
And we're over 80% local spend as well, much smaller scale. So,
What's the, how long has your company been around in business? I know Boeing's been around for...
Over 100 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Lisa and George, any?
So the gun business quickly was brought here by Howard Hughes, became McDonnell Douglas. It was bought by Boeing, and then ATK bought the business in 2002. So we have a lot of employees that are former Boeing employees as well. We definitely enjoy being here. We've also grown approximately 50% over the last year.
And George?
we've been strong proponents of the local group lately. So, and throughout the organization.
Great. How long?
22 years.
22 years.
Sorry.
Okay, cool. No, that's good. That's awesome. I know nobody has a crystal ball, but what do you see looking forward? Do you see growth? Do you see bigger impacts?
Absolutely. As far as orbital ATK, I think we're advertising approximately 20 to 30% growth over the next several years per year. So we're, whether it's good for humanity or not, the defense market is doing very well right now. And obviously with Boeing right across the street, we appreciate the business that we do with them as well as the rest of the international primes. And we sell to 38 different countries all over the world, whoever the U.S. government sanctions us to be able to sell to.
That's awesome. Now, in my notes here, it says you had a special visitor that the MIDC had in April of last year.
We
Can you
did.
speak to that a little bit?
That was very exciting. So Senator John McCain was leading a delegation of other congressmen through the area and touring with General Mark Milley, U.S. Army Chief of Staff. They were looking at defense contractors all over the great state of Arizona, and Senator McCain asked him to come here to meet with the Mesa Industry and Defense Council to see the type of capabilities that we have here in the area. I think one of the things that was most exciting is that all the companies that were involved, and there was approximately 6 companies that did detailed presentations to him, was he left with a clear picture of the fact that there's a lot of defense innovation going on within Mesa, Arizona, and that with our help, he could maintain a strategic, strong, competitive advantage for the U.S. military.
That's awesome. And George, what would you say is a benefit to being a part of this group, the MIDC?
I think the ability to communicate with our elected officials is critical to our businesses. With the budgetary process that goes on in Washington and trying to work at the cutting edge of defense technologies, it's vital that we maintain communications with our elected officials. They drive the funding of our customers, so we help our customers when we can make sure that the elected officials for Arizona know what impact there is locally.
Sure. And Mark, how do large businesses like you guys all work together? Is there some communication involved between Boeing and Gecko, all the companies?
Yeah, well, really we're focused on what can we do together that can make Arizona better. So the cost of doing business in Arizona is incredibly strong, but it's a global competition and it's the needle's always moving. So how do we continue to make sure that Arizona is cost competitive? And our people, we want to make sure that we have the right talent pipeline for the future. And that's something that we can all work together on because it benefits all of us and it benefits our region.
That's great. And what is Arizona doing right on this? Are we at the forefront of this? I keep hearing we're number 49. I'm trying to find something we're really good at.
We're number 1 recently in aerospace attractiveness for manufacturing. So from that standpoint, our educational system is really strong. We've got a great intern program. in our organization with the Arizona State University as well as the Mesa Public Schools have been a great proponent of us in that regard. So we bring seniors in high school that have an engineering focus in for work opportunities and things like that. So I think there are a lot of things that Arizona is doing right. It enables us as organizations to be able to have the right kind of workforce going forward, and that's key. Cost competitiveness, I think our state overall is doing the right things so that the economy is prosperous enough, and with the legislative environment that we have, we've got a very pro-work state.
That's awesome. You kind of led into this. If somebody's watching at home or somebody here in the audience has a child or grandchild that's engineering kind of wired this way, what can they do to kind of be a good candidate for your businesses?
I'd say, get them exposed early. Events like you mentioned, aviation fascination. We're proud to have invested in Mesa Public Schools for many years now. All fifth graders go through the curriculum on the science of flight. We just announced that this year we'll be doing $685,000 in contributions to our local community. Much of that's going to be focused on STEM. We find if you don't get your kids interested by about fifth grade, they may have lost that interest in engineering or aviation or aerospace. So get them exposed early, see the great assets that we have here in Arizona and across the United States. I asked this, I've got young children, I asked this of our chief engineer, and he said, just sit down with your children and play with Legos and work through it, and it's like an engineering diagram, and so just grab their attention early.
That's awesome. Lisa, why do you think Mesa has become kind of a hub or known for the defense industry?
I think it's very attractive for the defense industry because of the attractive cost of doing business. And again, as my colleagues have said, the talent pool here is very deep and very rich. So the engineers that we hire out of University of Arizona, Arizona State, Embry-Riddle are phenomenal. I think Arizona State also, if I'm not wrong, is #1 in supply chain management in the U.S. So we also have a lot of really strong bench strength and the ability to procure good materials on time, on budget.
That's
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, earlier we heard the mayors talking about the little field trip from Mesa to Yuma. Is there anything that you guys are kind of looking forward to from this trip? Any benefits?
I'm looking forward to the fact that Apache depends on the success of Yuma Proving Ground. And so for us to be able to further those ties between our communities, it really helps both of us grow. And then also talk about their innovative approaches, and as we as companies innovate for our customers and for our nations, how we can partner with Yuma to further that.
Yeah, even though they're a military installation, they're looking for opportunities to grow as well. And I think partnerships with companies like all three of ours to let us be aware of what their core capabilities are and how we can best partner with them. For example, I would love to bring visitors from 38 different countries all over the world down to see what our weapon systems are capable of, and that would be a perfect place to do it.
Seems to me if we brought leaders from all around the world, all countries, to see what we're capable of doing defensively, it would calm down a lot of these wars. Just a thought, Really? Do you really want to go up against this guy? Yeah, you're right. What do I sign?
Then we can switch to pool supplies.
Yeah. I like it. Mark, have you ever, is one of the benefits of Boeing, have you ever been able to ride around in an Apache helicopter?
I have not. I'm still waiting for that, so maybe someday.
Wow. Have you ever sang at the Vatican?
No. I can't say that.
I'm trying to draw some common ground here. Well, that's awesome. So, you know what? I think we've got a couple of minutes, and I know we've got a lot of inquiring minds out here in the audience. We'll get a microphone ready. If anybody's got a question for any of these folks, raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. What do you see looking ahead? What's to come? Are there new weapons on the horizon?
Well, at least I would say what's to come for this group. What's innovative is that we're reaching out beyond the borders of Mesa, beyond the borders of the Phoenix metro area, and developing this partnership with Yuma. I think appreciate Senator's leadership on that point, and Sally and the chamber. We can't succeed if we're going to stovepipe and not reach out and collaborate and develop a network within this state. States that do a good job are ones that don't draw artificial lines in the sand. And so I think this group really has an opportunity to really be the driver for Arizona collaborating across all metro areas in the state.
It's very interesting to us also as a team that we get a lot of questions about, well, don't you compete with each other? A lot of the different members of the team. And the answer is yes, we compete with each other, but that's not what we talk about in our meetings. We talk about how to grow the bench strength within the local community, the talent pool. We talk about how we can collaborate, how we can get the right messages to our officials, and they can reach into one organization to ask us probing questions on defense-related things and not call each of us individually. And thanks to Sally, who spearheaded the whole thing with Senator McCain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great,
we
great
really
idea.
appreciate that.
That's our Sally. Once again, I'll open it up if anybody's got a question. Yes. Oh, look at this. I know this guy. We've got a question from the mayor. Hang on, we're getting a microphone over to you.
Thank you. Lisa, when is a good time to come visit, and we'll make sure we get that set up for you?
Anytime, just call
All
me.
right, well then, I'm open March 30th. If that's good, we'll get that rolling for you.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
I have another question that just came to me from a audience member. Can commanders fly in Apaches? In other words, if somebody's a really big shot, do they get to fly in a
I would defer that question to the United States Army.
Okay. Because the questioner said maybe Sally would qualify.
There you go.
And a lot of times she runs late to meetings, so if you could maybe haul her in some kind of a Uber Apache. There's a business idea. That would be awesome. Can you imagine getting a pizza in 3 minutes? That'd be awesome.
Late again.
Any other questions? And raise your hand and we'll make sure we get a microphone to you. Otherwise, I'll just go down the line here, let you say a few words. Anything you'd like to impart on these people? Keep in mind, not just here, but also at home. Lisa, go ahead and...
The only thing I would ask is continue to support your veterans organization. The Mesa Veterans Resource Center here is fantastic. Obviously, Orbital ATK is a large supporter of that as well. And we really need to help our fine veterans. They've done a lot for us.
Yes, I think that's an understatement. And Mark?
I would just say that we're very grateful. This has been a very strong community that understands the importance of the mission that we all have. When you have the customer come in, whether it's the United States Army or our allied nations, and talk about the impact of what each of our employee does every day, it gives you a new sense of purpose. But what's been wonderful is that with efforts like the Chamber and echoing on the points on veterans, is that's not just held within the walls of our company. That is true of Mesa. And so that's, I think, has made us so successful over these years.
That's great. And George?
And I'm going to echo what Mark said there and expand on it in the point that being able to work directly with the warfighters in the field is crucial. I think it's something that Mesa does very well. And I do appreciate all the community support we get from the elected officials through the chambers and even shows like yours, Mark.
Oh. Yes,
Thank
well,
you.
this is a huge part of every company's business is being on Mesa Morning Live. Do you guys do any kind of, if somebody wanted to tour your facilities, is there such a thing as that? I should have asked this question before. Is there a field trip to go to Boeing? Could people come in other than aviation fascination?
So that's probably the best opportunity at
Yep.
a defense facility. We don't have open tours, although we do have a Boeing store, and so let me know, and we can set that up and come on in. And then obviously a lot of our other sites, more commercial focused, welcome the opportunity to bring folks around to those.
That's awesome, and thank you so much. And by the way, Mayor Giles said something earlier. Mayor's still here. The Skybridge thing is awesome. I think that's, there is nothing better than, like you said, shopping in your pajamas. I love that. Walmart hates it when I do it, but I'm not sure why I snuck that stupid joke in. Well, you know what? We couldn't help but know. Did you drive here today, Lisa?
I did.
And Mark?
Yes.
And George?
Yes.
Well, we've had reports that we had 3 dirty vehicles out in the parking lot from you guys. And so as a thank you from one of our favorite sponsors, Cobblestone Auto Spa, we'd like to, and you all live in the Valley, we'd like to give you can pass these down. This is a $100 detail gift card from Cobblestone that you can take your vehicles in. I'm pretty sure they'd probably even do the Apache if you want to take that in. Take it to your local Cobblestone, which, by the way, Cobblestone's springing up right and left. So there's one in your neighborhood. If not, wait till next week. There will be. Take your vehicles in, get them detailed, and that's our little thank you, and Cobblestone's thank you for being such a big part of today's show. So thank you. Any going once, going twice? Any last question? Oh, here we got a question.
Each one of you have mentioned 20, 30% growth. What does that mean for the workforce needs? Kind of a two-part question as far as the Sky Bridge as well. We've heard thousands of jobs in the Mesa Gilbert area. What is the immediate impact of the Sky Bridge? Is it thousands or is it hundreds? That's supposed to be in 2 years, right?
You know, we'll run the microphone back to Mayor. Take it easy, Mayor. I know you got a bad foot.
Thank you. If you saw the governor's announcement last week, the number 17,000 jobs is related to this. Of course, that's over decades. This is literally 360 acres adjacent to the Gateway Airport. So immediately, in like 30 days from now, you will start to see activity. The Mexican customs officials will be there. You'll start to see some construction projects in the very near future. But this is something that is the future that's going to unfold for this facility over the course of 20 years. Thank you.
That's great. Well, I'd like to, once again, I'd like to thank our guests, Lisa Brown, Mark Gaspers, and George Graves, for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing, and keep up the good work. And with that, I'll turn you loose. Go get your cars washed.
Thank you, Mark.
And come back next month.